welcome. Whether you're a first time visitor to the channel or one of our Friday regulars, you're most welcome to join us. Now, if you switched on just to look at the film, then jump forward about 20 minutes. It should be about there. The rest of us are going to look at matters arising from the previous two films that have gone out. First one of which is Croome Park, National Trust property in Warwickshire, I guess it is. Don't think it's Gloucestershire. Anyway, that sort of area. And the first comment that we've got here, I'm going to make an apology, I'm afraid. It's from David, all the way from Spain, sunny Spain. Excuse me. He said, I'm not sure if it will affect the algorithm, but the sound at 2620 probably made half of us in the Parkinsons walks. I'll get going. Right, it probably made half of us in the Parkinsons walks family put you on hold while we tended to urgent business. Yes, the sound of running water has its effect, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. I've just done it again, haven't I? Oh dear. Hey, come back. Talk amongst yourselves till they get back. Yes, David says about Croome Park, it looks like a fascinating place to visit. Then he goes on to describe conditions down there in Spain, which has been really cold this week, but dry. I'm sure the farmers would be delighted to hear that Simon was coming on holiday here instead of Cornwall. Yes, Simon is our resident rain god. Wherever Simon goes, the rain goes with him. Yeah. David says lots of coughing and spluttering in Uriah's school this week. Flu is still taking hold down here now. All right. So this flu really is a pandemic, isn't it? Crikey me. Yes, Malcolm Richardson says, switch off your phone, stop talking and take the time to listen to nature. Sound advice, he says. Yeah. Sound advice in more ways than one. Yeah, right on, Malcolm. Barry says, the blog this week reminded me of Emergency Ward 10. So many of us had flu and various illnesses and goodness knows what. Yes, Emergency Ward 10. I wish all the family, says, speedy recoveries. It's not that our generation are old and frail, but too tough and stubborn to give in. If only that were true. Give me man flu and I shall line up for sympathy with the rest. Lionel and Mary Travels. Hello again, Ron. He says Croome Park. I'm not familiar with that. That's two up to me this year. Mary, from Lionel and Mary Travels. Everywhere I film, Mary's already been there. So not so far this year. 2 out of 2, I think it is, isn't it, Mary? I win. Pete Payne. Yes, of course, Croome was filmed in the spring, many moons ago, but it's filmed in the spring. And Pete says, I was out for a long dog walk and thinking about spring, looking forward to the warmth, the flowers, bird song and everything going green. We have chalk quarries here at Pitstone, and one pit has been made into a wetland and the other quite literally gets covered in orchids accompanied by skylarks. Can't wait, he says. No, not me. Marilyn, who in the Parkinsons Walks virtual family, Marilyn has taken on the role of the elder sister and she plays it beautifully. She says, good evening, Ron, and everyone. And no, I'm not in a rocking chair by the fire, she says. I would probably be seasick if I was. Another illusion shattered, Marilyn. Oh dear. Croome Park is another place from the memory which we visited not long before coming north. Yes, used to be based around here somewhere, now living in Cheshire. I think we went into the cafe twice as it was a cold day. Now, if you follow this thread, you know, it didn't take much to get Marilyn into a cafe. Nothing at all, in fact. And then she goes on to say, thank you Ron for giving a shout out for Parkinson's walkers everywhere, asking cyclists to ring their bells. Yes, it can be a bit of a fright to have somebody zoom up behind you. And she then goes on to say, I have MS, multiple sclerosis. Didn't know that. Gosh, you cope so well, Marilyn. Well done. And she says, I tend to wander from side to side too, which is not a good thing on the narrow pavements around here. Ah, well, there you are. Yeah. There's very little difference between multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's, as I understand it. You sometimes have a job to tell them apart. But Marilyn, hang in there, you're doing beautifully. James, oh dear. James Weeks, our accident-prone teacher from Canada. Oh dear. It's a wonderful outing. Very welcome, as we've just entered the deep freeze here today. Unfortunately, yesterday was quite mild with extensive melting of snow, which of course is now frozen into a vast skating rink of ice. Reports of impending injuries to follow. We have no doubt. Excuse me. He says, at least I have some of those metal cleats for my shoes. Metal, don't they have those for climbing mountains then, James? I thought they did. Oh well. I will now test them since OVM, the official virtual mascot, our Sumac, morning Sumac, seems to need to get outside. Yeah, well, expect the injury list to come shortly then. Oh, James, oh dear. Jim from New Zealand. He said it's a very interesting place and a lovely walk with some late spring flowers, all of which, even the humble cowslips, looked beautiful, didn't they just? I do miss living somewhere with so much tangible history. Well, as you know, Jim, keep watching the channel and we'll take it all the way down to you. West Country Wanderings, our Paul, who's wandering everywhere, says, oh no, so sorry you've all got this flu that's going around. Speedy recovery to you all. So Paul hasn't got it yet then. Just wait, Paul. It's everywhere. I love Croome, he says. Been a few times, and to the RAF museum there. Yes, a small RAF museum at Croome, which is good. It's the place where airborne radar was born, according to Paul, and I think the museum highlights it. Brilliant stuff. Well done. Charles, all the way from the US of A. Morning, Charles. Putting up with Mr. Trump over there. No, we're not going up that can of worms. Another marvellous walk, he says. I don't think I quite caught the explanation for why they use hollow walls to transmit heat. I can't remember the explanation, but I imagine that they grew exotics up the wall so that they could keep them nice and warm and cosy through the winter. Perhaps that was it. Charles, that's the only thing I can think of, unless anybody else comes up with anything. Michael from Poland, greetings from Poland, he says. My New Year resolution is not to join the Parkinson's Walk's weekly sick parade. 2024, with 3 major operations in 6 months, is enough for me, he says. I really hope that all those struck down with some illness or another all make speedy recovery, and so say all of us. Yeah. Trev, our Trev. The cold flu that's been affecting most of the Parkinson's family seemed to be abating at last. Yeah, very few reports this week, so I think we're through the worst. However, he says, my thoughts go out to those who are coping with more challenging medical issues at the moment. Yeah, I've not heard anything from Ron for a little while. So, I expect he's coping with it or fighting with it. But yeah, no, we're still with you, Ron. Just hang in there. Despite visiting Deptford in connection with my work a few times, Deptford is right next to Croome Park, I had no idea that Croome Park existed. Well, I'm blowed. That's definitely on my list of things to do. Just so much there to see, apart from the gardens and the house, yeah. I was going to make the same comment as David on 26:30 in the video, I wondered if a few of the family had to go out for a comfort break. More than a few, it sounds like. Oh dear. I managed to hold firm, he says. Just. Have a great week. Best wishes to you and everyone. As always, regards, Trev. Thanks, Trev. Right, the film. Now, this is last week's film. Croome Park was the week before. So this is last week's film. And it starts off with Sharon Idle, who says, I recognise that can that was up the tree. It was a 1960s pink paraffin filter can. And then Sharon goes on to describe its place in history, really, and everything else that was happening at the time to do with paraffin and such things, plus what you needed to do to keep things going. And I've never known a comment receive so many comments as this one. Amazing, Sharon, you certainly touched a nerve. Brilliant stuff. Michael from Poland, Warmley says, wonderful to see the signal box. Pity it wouldn't open when you were there. I'd like to have seen inside. Yeah, I would. So that's the way it goes. I think it opens at weekends, and at weekends it's pretty busy around there. The station was a surprise, says Michael. Having read the comments before I wrote this, the can in the tree has been solved. First of many mentions. Steve, great video, brought back many memories. When I lived in Chippenham and worked for the South Gloucestershire Council, based in Mangotsfield, I used to drive past Warmley's signal box every day on the A420 from Chippenham. The last bridge you came to was Siston Bridge, which is pronounced Siston. In the summer months you have to look out for the adder snakes. Blimey! I'm glad I didn't read that comment before I went down there. I might have changed my mind. Oh. Engage on a shelf. Our Simon. Simon's been still building his model railway, if you're into that, and he keeps building it up and tearing it down and getting it just how he wants it. We'll get there in the end. But he says, I love those old bridges. That signal box was quite a treat. I wonder if it now operates the traffic lights. As I said to Simon, depends who did the wiring, really. If it's somebody like me, they might well do. Charles from America. That vendor, he says, in the Warmley station is doing magnificently with sales. Somebody got in on the right investment there, yes. Unfortunately, not me, Charles. Yeah, good. Jim from New Zealand. Good to see they preserved that signal box, Ron. And a pity it wouldn't open when you visited. There seemed like a lot of thirsty people at the station. There was a huge queue for the cafe. And I have to say, all good-natured. I'd have gone mad if I'd had to queue that long. But yeah, they were all quite happy standing there chatting. Good. Right, Trev. Now our Trev. If you get to railways, Trev's away. And he described not only Warmley station, the railway and its surroundings, but also goes into cycle hire, cafe queues, and the difficulties with 2-bolt rail chairs. So, wonderful read there. Go back into the comments and give it a go. Well done. Thanks, Trev. Marilyn again then. Windy here in Cheshire, but not too bad so far. Yeah, we've got another batch coming through now. Thank you for the Friday morning treat of Warmley Station and Signal Box. It's obviously very popular for coffee, so I hope you were able to get one, or perhaps Pauline packed you a thermos flask. No chance. No, every man for himself in this household. I just wonder how that paraffin can managed to get up the tree. Interesting. How many people in the elderly sister range managed with a paraffin stove to keep warm? Back in the good old days, eh? Or even remember them, she says. Then she goes on to say, we cycled from Bitton nearly to Bath on the cycle path, but coming back was really hard work and I got left behind. Left behind? Crikey. You wouldn't leave Pauline behind, you'd know all about it. She was absolutely exhausted when we got back to the car and nowhere was open to have anything to eat. She says, you do keep bringing up these memories and I can laugh about it now. Yeah, if you know the channel, you'll know we love memories. We love memories. There's parts of our past that we enjoyed and we can go back and enjoy them all over again. Otherwise, they disappear, they get lost. Good, well done. Pete Payne, that was a nice explorer, he said. Good to see the signal box, and good to see the track bed has not gone to waste. Yes, Sharon is correct about the paraffin can. Another comment. Amazing. Barry, late on parade again, he says. My excuse, I was out dealing with the storm damage, the new cover on my car and some glass from my greenhouse. Oh dear. The cover blew out into the road and was driven over several times before being rescued. Oh dear. He says, I'm not sure what the collective noun is for us followers, but I definitely draw the line at the Ronettes. Yeah, remember those, the Ronettes? Oh dear. Malcolm Richardson. Marvellous restoration of Warmley signal box on the station. It looks as if it might be busier now than when the railway was running. I wouldn't be at all surprised about that, Malcolm. David finishes up today. He said, hope it's all well after yesterday's, in brackets, today's storm. Well, we're just enjoying the next one now. He says, you know, this must be the busiest station you've ever shown us. Main line preserved or abandoned. They must be doing something right. Yeah, undoubtedly. He said, I know. You've got the contract to supply them Ron's cheese and pickle sandwiches. Yes, well, it used to be a staple of the long distance walk, the old cheese and pickle sandwich. They're always coming out. That can, he says, is a mystery, but thankfully Sharon was on the ball. Now the mention, and there's loads of mentions in there. Sharon, you did a really good job, girl. Thank you very much. Right, now in a few moments' time we'll have a film from the archive. Unfortunately, I think this one might be a bit long from memory. I apologise for that. I know it's hard to sit down to sit there for 40 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever it's going to be. I thought about putting them on separately, but, well, you can always put it on pause, do something else and come back. Well done. So anyway, we'll have that in a minute then, which is the Cheltenham to Honeybourne Abandoned Railway Part 1. Part 2 to follow. And then, of course, next week, the week after, no, next week, that's right. Well, look, it's that time in the podcast, the brain's gone to sleep now. I don't know if it's been awake for the whole lot. Anyway, right, so next week's film is Bitton Railway Station, home of the Avon Valley Heritage Railway. So we'll pop there and have a look at that, see how many more memories we can stir up. So I'll see you down there next Friday. Don't be late. The Gloucester and Warwickshire Heritage Railway is quite well known in heritage railway circles, so I thought we'd try something a little bit different. This is Cheltenham Lansdowne Station. It's the only station in Cheltenham at the moment. This is it back in 1910. This is it today. But if we wander up the road a little ways from here, to this rather magnificent overbridge, 50 yards or so up the road, and if we peer over the parapet we see what looks very much like a rail track turned into a footpath, which is exactly what it is. Using this no expenses spared multimedia digital mapping system, we got to use the digits to do it. You can see the layout. That's the main line from Bristol, goes up to Birmingham. This is the main line, goes from Oxford, same way up towards Birmingham. And then this is the line that we're interested in, joined down here, look. Starts in Cheltenham, ends in Honeybourne. Now the Gloucester and Warwickshire Railway start here at the racetrack and nowadays end here at Broadway. So what we're looking at then is that little bit there, from Cheltenham up to the racetrack. And then we're looking at Broadway up to Honeybourne. And as if that wasn't enough, what we've got here is the layout actually in Cheltenham. There's your main line again, which went Birmingham, Gloucester, Bristol or Swindon, whichever way you went. And this is the bit that came from Andoversford, looped around, and then this is right in the middle of Cheltenham itself. You've got Malvern Road, you've got St James, and you've got the High Street Halt. 3 lovely stations right in the middle of Cheltenham. You can access the railway directly from the Lansdowne Station car park. Just wander down this little bit and there you have it. That's the bridge we were standing on just now, and that's the path into Cheltenham. That's looking back the other way, but we'll head for Cheltenham and Honeybourne in quite a severe cutting at this point, as you can see. And this picture shows the Queen's Road Bridge, which we've just passed under, and the cutting that we're walking through. Just to confirm, the Honeybourne line and some railway engineering. Beautiful blue brick wall. And the line rattles on down here. You can only guess what that might have been. Signal position. I thought I said 5 miles. I was about to go back. Now that, I reckon, is the access to Malvern station. We're on the railway here and we're squeezed between the wall there on the right and this low wall on the left. That almost looks like platform. And then you come to this bridge here, which is a very distinctive shape. And then if we look at the old photograph here of Malvern Road Station, you can see the bridge again in the background, look. So this is where the station actually was located then, just before that bridge. The station was built in 1908 and it was very often used by the through traffic so they could drop their passengers without having to reverse into St James. And quite a substantial retaining wall up there, just after the bridge. There's a notch cut in the wall there. Some signal you've got to guess, I suppose. Stone wall on the opposite side. Right, and beloved of our graffiti friends, another substantial wall. Oh, maybe not that substantial. I don't know what the graffiti has got against this piece. I love a structure. Perhaps they like working in the sunshine. Just up here then, with the structure there having been heavily modernised, this is where the lines split, with the left hand side going on up to Honeybourne and the right hand side going into St James's Station in the middle of Cheltenham. This is St James Station, 1910. Distinctive St Mary's Church in the background to give you some idea of location. This is it in 1966. Obviously a well-used station. Look, it even had its own turntable. We'll take a quick look and see what's there now. They're back. Quite good actually. And that's it. Welcome to St James. At least we've got some rail here, something to point to its history. 1947. Wow. I will head back. We'll go through there under St George's Road. Have a quick look on top first. That's it. Lovely old abutment there, blue brick abutment. And peering over the side, that's the line of the track heading for Honeybourne. And this of course is new. You guessed that, didn't you? This is the vicinity of High Street Station. The station itself closed in 1917 and all that was left, as you can see from this old photograph, is a glorified siding. If you look on the left hand side, we're looking back now, look on the left hand side and there's sort of a ramp leading downwards. And then if we turn around and carry on our walk, on the right is a ramp leading downwards. I reckon this is High Street Stations, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little farther on there's quite an embankment here, so I don't think that would support a station. And the next bridge here, as you can see, built for double track, I think crosses Market Street and onwards. And the next bridge, and we're heading out of town. High Street. We'll have a look down there later. That's a nice touch, Honeybourne Gate. Meanwhile, back on the railway, and a succession of bridges. That's for Swindon Road and then St Paul's. Railway cottages? No, probably not out here, not in town. Standard Victorian terrace. At the side here, some broadband rail doing a service. Probably had a sign on it. Country, we think. Although there is much country around here, to be honest. And when you get to here, actually, this is an embankment. It's been made into a cutting. The embankment has been grubbed out. You might see just over the fence in front where the embankment continues. That has been left alone. And we're descending, folks. Embankment and rail line straight ahead. We go around a short diversion. And looking back, you can see it as an embankment. The centre grubbed out. We have to divert this way. There you can see it as an embankment. Head into Swindon Village. Honeybourne, Cheltenham Racecourse, Toddington, take your pick. Again there you get to see the embankment. A little farther along and you can clearly see the embankment here, leading to what may be an accommodation bridge or some such. That's the accommodation bridge from the other side. And here the embankment has been breached to make access for this housing development. And then going along there is no embankment because the land has risen. That may even be a cutting there. Go have a look. Here we are standing actually in the gap, and you can see the embankment that side, and the other side gone missing. The line is up there. I'm not sure if that's an embankment or just on higher ground. And the answer, having fought my way up here, is it is just higher ground. Some old ballast on the track bed, and the track bed continues along there. Very few features off to the side here. It's all been swallowed up by the overgrowth, undergrowth, whatever you want. But the track bed remains open so far. And way off to the one side where a path passes through, there are these tapered concrete posts, which are probably railway, I think. Marks extremities. And then on the opposite side, down a very steep bank, which I'm not going down, there are some other posts, look. we'll just follow along the ballast surface track. See where this gets to. Sound of running water. That needs investigating. And there, passing right under the railway, is the source of the noise, the culvert. And after all that excitement, we'll just carry on along here, along the track bed. A bit narrow at the moment. Looking like entering a cutting at this spot. I guess it's dropping down to go under the road. Looking like a good guess. The footbridge in the foreground and then the road bridge. Needing to be propped. That's sad. You can see the issue on that beam there, look. Serious corrosion. Footbridge, quite a modern addition, and quite a substantial road bridge. Pity the metal hasn't kept up with it, really. Pity the metalwork hasn't kept up with the brickwork. It's got the cutouts for lightness and save a bit of money, I guess. Not sure. Our friends the graffitiists have made the effort. The track bed continues along there and it looks still looking like access on a path. It's not a public footpath, but people access it regularly by the look of it, so we'll give it a shot. Kind of in a low cutting, with the track bed curving ever so slightly to the right, leading to a very small embankment. You always feel, don't you, when you get a cutting then an embankment. Poor old guys there with their wheelbarrow, digging out of one and running along and dumping it in the other. Still showing lots of ballast on the surface. That's what I love about railway walking. Not only are they level, but predominantly good surfaces to walk on. Now we've got rising ground dead ahead, and consequently we've got that. Hunting Butts Tunnel. There's a cess here on the side of the track, probably to drain out the tunnel. How the hell? I reckon that must have been helicoptered in. You'd never get it in over this surface. I'm sure that should be in a pond somewhere. The track bed has widened right out here to at least double track just before the entrance. Makes you wonder why, unless it was a maintenance issue. Looking quite impressive from here. Down to the track bed. That's a bit of a pity, really. If we fight through here, we possibly get to see a bit more. Indeed, we can. It's now a storage area for the GWR, and you can make out the other end of the tunnel down there. We're going to have to backtrack to the road bridge now, get a view of the other side, and then we're in Cheltenham Racecourse Station. One bookend done. So this is looking from the main road bridge then, towards the tunnel. Closer look. And then if we cross this main road and peer over the bridge the other way, there's the racecourse station as was. There it is as now. And annoyingly, I'm now going to make this into a two-parter. We've done centre of Cheltenham out to the racecourse. Now we'll do Broadway out to Honeybourne in part 2. I'll see you there. Don't forget, you can always click subscribe, like or share. Much appreciated.